You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. LSU practiced on Saturday. Afterwards, Brian Kelly did his press conference. I happened to ask him a pretty open-ended question about from day one when they started camp, where did he maybe have some reservations that at this point now, 3 weeks in, that he feels better, where they improved. And he gave me a 2.5-minute answer. And when he got to the offense, it was interesting because the bulk of the answer, like a minute and a half, minute 45 of the answer was about the defense. He wasn't quite as long-winded about the offense because they just don't quite honestly have as many questions there. But here's what he said about the offense.
And then from an offensive standpoint, just, clean up a little bit of the execution. And then kind of let's begin this next week focusing on what we do well. I think the last few days have been, we've been painting with a broad brush. I mean, we're trying to do everything. We need to just focus on what we're going to do, and that is run the ball, take some shots, get the ball out quickly to our playmakers, and move to the next play.
That is the second time now I've heard Brian Kelly allude to that. We need to do what we do well. What's the first thing he said? We're going to run the ball, we're going to take some shots, and get the ball to our playmakers. First thing he said, we're going to run the ball. I don't want to give any of you some PTSD flashbacks to the Les Miles era. I'm not suggesting that LSU is going to go too tight, full back, 3 yards in the cloud of dust. Those days I can never foresee coming back. But do you remember when they started fall camp and Brian Kelly was asked about the running backs? Talked about it here. And the comment he made about Josh Williams was, we're not going to give Josh a lot of reps. I'm paraphrasing. We're not going to give Josh a lot of reps. We know what he could do. We just got to get him to Saturday. Meaning, they just got to get him to Saturdays healthy. So they're not going to use him very much in fall camp because they got to keep him healthy for Saturdays. This is my theory. And I don't know. We're all going to see it together. I mean, I've gotten to go watch practice, but you heard Brian say it there. We're trying to do everything. We need to pare down what we do well. And he started with run the ball. Because I know this undeniable truth. You poll 100 LSU fans today and ask them what is the strength of this LSU team. Going into the season, poll 100 LSU fans. If I asked you, Alondra, Paul, what is the strength, the unquestioned strength of this LSU, the best position group on this team, what would you say?
O-line.
Paulie, what would you say?
Offensive line.
It's what literally every one of us would say. It has been hammered into our brain, and justifiably. Will Campbell and Emory Jones are in everybody's first-round mock drafts. Garrett Delling is a 4-year starter. Miles Frazier is a 5th-year player, has been a 4-year starter. Yes, he was a former freshman All-American. You got a really talented young center now coming in DJ Chester, who they're very high on. It is the unquestioned best unit on your team, period, paragraph, no discussion. So use them. And you heard Brian Kelly say, they've eliminated the chunk plays on defense. Defense is getting better, but I still don't know that they're going to be great. You want to know one way to protect your defense? Run the ball. Keep the ball away from their offense. Listen, LSU last year, this may surprise you, but a year ago, LSU was almost a 50-50 balance offensively. I mean, they were so magnificent throwing the football. I mean, you had 2 1,000-yard receivers. Jaden Daniels had 40 touchdown passes and 4 interceptions. They were ungodly. But they threw it 411 times on the season, and they ran it 430. They ran 841. How about that math? They ran 841 offensive plays. And it was almost a dead 50-50. 430 rushing, 411 passing. It's incredible. But so much of that was Jaden Daniels improvising and Jaden Daniels design runs. He carried it 150 times last year. Jaden Daniels did. 135, excuse me. Let me be completely accurate. He carried it 135 times. So you had this giant big play ability, which allowed you to score quickly. So even though you ran the ball, you'd have Jaden Daniels bob and weave his way through Florida for 85 yards. And just like that, your defense is right back on the field. Well, how do you want to protect your defense? Run the ball behind that awesome offensive line with a 6-year running back that you know can shoulder the burden, a young bulldozer in Caleb Jackson, a veteran piece in John Emery, a freshman in Caden Durham who probably needs to come along. But you know if that's your approach, you better keep 27 healthy. That's what Brian Kelly's telling you. So we got to focus on what we do well. And the first thing out of his mouth was run the ball. Run the ball, take your shots, because when you're running the ball, they're going to creep closer to the line. You'll have opportunities in play action with your big receivers and get the ball to your playmakers, which they do plenty of. Goal line situation last week, we saw a jet sweep for a touchdown to Xavier Thomas. They ran a counter motion with a throwback to Xavier Thomas. We've seen Aaron Anderson come on jet sweeps. We've seen them run real creative plays where they went power, where they faked the power with Mason Taylor and had Kamorian Pimpton open in the end zone. They're going to get creative. I have no doubt about that. They'll be creative. But I think they are going to try to run the ball, possess the ball, control the clock, control the game, and protect their defense. It's not to say they're not going to take shots and be high-powered and score, but if you can limit your opponents by 10 offensive snaps a game from what you did a year ago, well, all those averages are going to come down. Your defense is on the field less. Use that as a strength. I think that's what Brian Kelly was saying right there. It's going to be fun to watch. By the way, I also asked BK about USC preparation because, of course, next week you're into game week. This is the final week of fall camp. But they done kicked us out, right? We get to go Wednesday for a little bit. Monday, Tuesday, we don't get to go. We get a little bit on Wednesday. We don't get to go Thursday, Friday, and then they scrimmage Saturday in Tiger Stadium. We're supposed to be able to see that, but they done kicked us out. We missed Thursday, Friday of last week. I mean, that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of 8 practices we didn't get to go after getting to go darn near every day. So, yeah, they're starting to get game plan and things prepped like that, the things they don't want us to see. And so I asked Brian Kelly when they started this was Saturday, I asked him, when are you going to start prep for USC?
Yeah, we'll start Tuesday. We'll begin exchanging teams to give us a look at USC on Tuesday and kind of duplicate 2 weeks in a row of a game week preparation. So we'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday into a kind of a game bench control situation next week and then do it again. So, kind of back-to-back weeks, if you will. So if you think of it, next week is kind of the off week that you would normally have, your bye week, where you would do a little work on your opponent and then leading into the game week.
Really smart approach. They'll use this week effectively as like an open date week, and then next week they start really ramping up for USC, but they will start USC this week on Tuesday. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.